Hello everyone and welcome. Before we get started with today's video, if you want to get inspired to create your epic love story, go to 7daysofinspiration.com. That's 7daysofinspiration all spelled out.com. We have some really exciting things for you. I think you're really going to like it. So go ahead, open up your browser, go to 7daysofinspiration.com and we'll see you there. I wanted to come on here today and share something really exciting and really special. There's a project I've been working on for some time now, and I haven't really talked much about it, but I wanted to start to tell people about it. It's going to be ready a couple weeks coming up, and it's going to be ready. We'll start making that available for everyone, but I wanted to share a little bit about what I'm doing and share a story that's also going to tie into the topic of today's video. But, you know, what my wife and I have been doing over the last few years since we really pivoted this project, the living relationship that we've been building, we really pivoted it toward dating coaching and specifically toward women who are looking to create a committed relationship with a committed and honorable man. And that was just a project that really spoke to us, and you know, we really wanted to share that with the world. And as we've been doing this, something that I've become very, very aware of, and you know, it saddens me a little bit to talk about it, is how many horrible experiences that so many women have gone through with so many men. And in many, many instances where the men are really, you know, the initiator of the horrible experience. And it really, you know, saddens me the more women we've gotten to know as we've continued this project, and the more stories we've heard and the more people we've worked with, you know, really I've become more and more aware of how common this is. And the project that I wanted to do, because I've been really blessed, and I don't know, you know, like, for example, my mom was divorced 4 times. And so I saw a lot of really negative men in my childhood growing up, and a lot of her marriages were not very good. And I've seen a lot of different sides of it. My dad was, you know, not a very good man or a good role model for a man, for me as a young man. But I've seen a lot of that side of it, but I've also been very blessed, and I don't just know if I'm lucky or what it is, but I've been very blessed throughout my life, even in my childhood and as I got older, and I've always had role models and examples and people that I looked up to and respected who had healthy and loving relationships. And so even when right in front of me, my family, with my mom, my dad, and all the environments I grew up in, and I wasn't seeing a lot of healthy relationships in my direct family, whether it was at church or whether it was with other people we knew or friends' parents or whatever it was, I always had examples in my life of people who had healthy relationships. And so I always kind of knew that was possible. And as I got older, I've sought that out, and I've made a lot of friends. And you know, I've had the pleasure of knowing so many good, honorable, committed men. You know, some friends and I used to run men's groups, and we had so many men go through these groups, and just amazing, amazing men. And so I've had the pleasure of knowing so many great men, but I've also seen the other side, and so many of the people we work with are like actively experiencing the other side of men. So what I wanted to do with this project was I wanted to interview some of the most committed and honorable men that I've known in my life. And I wanted to share their stories, and all of them are in, you know, incredible relationships. Many of them were very close. My wife and I are very close with them and their wives. And I wanted to hear the story of, you know, how did they fall in love with their wife, and why did they choose to commit to their wife, and how did they know she was the one? How did they know that they wanted to commit to her and spend their life together? And what was going through their mind at that time, and how did they make that decision, and how did they come to that they even wanted to be in a relationship? And, you know, kind of exploring all these questions, and from a man's perspective, and how he goes through these processes, and how he makes a decision based on the person he wants to spend his life with, and share some of the insights and the challenges they've had in creating their relationship together. And I wanted to showcase the stories of these committed and honorable men, because I know how toxic it can be, but I also know how good it can be. And I wanted to showcase that. I wanted to give people an example of that, to give hope and inspiration that if it can happen for these stories and these people, that it can happen for anyone. And my story is one of those stories, and you know, I've shared some of my close friends, colleagues, mentors. So I'm really excited about this project coming out. But now I want to get to the topic of today's video, because a lot of you are probably like, why am I telling you this? Well, I'm telling you this one because I want you to know about the project. So when it comes out, you'll be aware of it, and that'll be next few weeks. That'll be ready. But the other reason I want to tell you this is because I want to share something I've learned in this process. And there's a really close friend of mine. He coaches men. He's a really honorable, respectable guy, close friend of myself and my wife. He actually is a big part of how we met, was through him. And anyway, that's a different story, but I was doing his interview. He agreed to be a part of this project, and I was doing his interview, and he shared something with me. He said one of the most attractive things when he met his wife and they started dating and getting to know each other, he said one of the things that was most attractive was that she never pushed the relationship. She allowed it to happen naturally, and she allowed it to just unfold, and she was never like, what are we doing? Where is this going? Blah, 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 all this stuff. But then I've had other people who have told me, and other men I respect and honor who are participating in this project, and they've told me, well, what I really, was so attracted to in my wife was the fact that she knew what she wanted, and she was upfront about it and direct about it. And if you follow our work, like we usually say, to go ahead and be upfront and direct, and if that drives someone away, then they're probably not the one for you. So I really got to thinking about this, and I'm like, here's someone I love and appreciate and respect, and I know him and his wife very closely, and they have an amazing relationship. And here he is telling me that he was so attracted to the fact that she didn't push the issue. And then here are other people saying the opposite. And for me, it was kind of, the opposite in a way. Like my wife was really clear on what she wanted, and she brought it up and we talked about it. But this is what I came to, because I really sat with this and I'm like, okay, so, should you really be that direct about it, or should you be less direct about it? And this is what I discovered, is that it's less important what you do, like actually what you do, what you say, the details, because there are so many different ways you could work the situation out. There are so many different ways you could talk about it. There are so many different ways it could come up. There are so many different ways that it could all unfold. And yes, we offer some guidelines that say, if you do it this way, if you do it that way, these are some good ways to approach it. And if you do it in this way, you're likely to get on track to create what you want, right? But what we've also found is that if you try to do the right thing, but you're not coming from the right place when you do it, even if you do the right thing, you're not really going to do it in a way that's going to be effective enough to create the result you want to do. Like a lot of people ask, Shane, this is what he texted me. What should I say back? Or, can you just tell me exactly what I need to say to them? And I can tell you exactly what you need to say, but if you don't say it in the right tone, in the right mood, if you don't say it with the right eye contact and the right expression and the right tonality in your voice, and you don't get the message across in the way that it's going to communicate what you really want to say, it can still go completely off the rails. And so this is what I found, is that there are really two, let's call them contexts, that you can come from when you're getting to know someone, when you're in a new relationship. And one of them is needy, and the other one is empowered. And needy says, I'm incomplete, I need something from you. So it's basically like, I'm in this relationship because I need something from you. So I need you to complete me. I need you to make me feel better. I need you to validate me. I need you to get me out of bed in the morning. I need you to whatever, but I need you to give me purpose and meaning. I need you to, have a good time. If without you, I'm just bored and lonely all the time. Like whatever it is, there's this needy context of I'm incomplete and I need you to make me feel complete. I need you to give me something that I don't have. Now that is a context. That is a certain approach. And if you come from that context and if you come from that approach, you could say and do all the right things perfectly. But coming from that approach, you're still going to create this experience in the person where they kind of feel like you're trying to like take something away from them, like you're trying to deprive them of something. Like you're saying, like, give me something you have. It's this scarcity context where there's a limited amount of resources, and I don't have enough, and I need to take something from you so I can feel like I have enough, which then leaves you without enough within that context. So that context is always going to push someone away. But then there's the empowered context. And the empowered context looks like, I like you, I'm interested, and I'm not even afraid or ashamed to say it, and I don't even need to pretend like that's not the case. I can be really direct and honest with you about how I feel. But if you don't honor and respect that interest, if you don't reciprocate that interest, if you don't make an equal effort here, that interest isn't going to last very long. So that's the empowered place. It's like I am complete. I am good. There's not a limited amount of resources. There is no scarcity. Like I am full and complete and abundant all by myself, and I can have a good time by myself, and I can live life to the fullest by myself, and I can enjoy myself and do all the things I love to do. And I would love to be able to share that with somebody, and I'm even interested in being able to share that with you. But you've got to respect that interest. You've got to honor that interest if you want to be entitled to it, or maybe entitled is not a good word, but you get the point. So there's this empowered context, and there's this needy context. Needy is always going to make people feel like you're trying to take something from them. Meanwhile, the empowered context makes people feel like you're trying to give something to them. So now, like, being in relationship with you is actually like a breath of fresh air. And it's like, oh my God, like this relationship fills me up so much because here's this amazing person. They could be doing anything right now and they're choosing to be with me. And so I want to spend more and more time with this person. But it's only because they're coming from this empowered context. Now, I want to share just a couple more things in this video, and then I have a really exciting offer that I want to make you today. But I want to share two more things. Now, the first one is early on in a relationship, when you're first getting to know someone and when there's that honeymoon phase, that effortless excitement and enthusiasm, and both people are usually putting their best foot forward. Well, why does that happen like that? Here's why it happens. It happens because both people are usually operating within an empowered context. They're excited, they're inspired, and they're more focused on what they can give to the relationship. They're more focused on what they can contribute, how they can have a good time. But then what happens is it's a weird dynamic, and it happens with all of us. And you've got to do some personal development to not have this happen to you. Like nobody just magically does. Like you've got to do some work here. But what happens is once you start to experience that with someone, that effortless excitement and enjoyment and love and joy and gratitude, and you start to experience all of that with someone, you start to be afraid that you're going to lose it. And once you're afraid that you're going to lose it, you start to try to cling to it. And once you start to try to cling to it, now you've shifted from the empowered context to the needy context. So what usually happens that will throw a relationship completely off track very early on is when one or both people shift from this effortless empowered context to this needy context. And where they were giving to each other, they start trying to take from each other. Now that is going to break the relationship down and drive it apart. I want to share one other thing in this video, and then I have a special offer I want to make for you. My friend Michael, the one that I was telling you about, who I was doing this interview with, and he said that it was so attractive that his wife didn't push the issue. Well, I asked him because I said, well, okay, she didn't push the issue, but at the same time, within your first year of dating, within like the first 6 months, he moved across the country to be with her, okay? So, they were taking significant steps forward in the relationship. So she wasn't pushing it, and yet the relationship was moving forward at a very natural rate, and they were making these commitments to be with each other and moving in with each other and things like this. So I said, so you must have been having these conversations. How were they happening if she wasn't bringing them up? And he said, well, this may sound weird to a lot of your audience, but I was the one bringing them up. I was the one moving the relationship forward because I was clear that it's what I wanted. And so this is what I want to say is, it's good to be clear about what you want. It's good to talk about what you want. It's good to ask for what you want. It's good to communicate what you want to people. And especially if you're in a relationship where you feel like it's headed completely off track, it's good to say, hey, I feel like this relationship is completely off track. Can we check in about where we are? Because that's really important to me. I need to know that. It is good to be able to do those things. But no matter what you do or don't do, it's most important that you remain in this empowered context. And when a relationship is moving forward in a positive direction, it's going to move forward naturally. So as long as you remain in the empowered context, no matter what happens, relationships that are meant to move forward are going to move forward in a very natural and effortless way. Relationships that are not meant to move forward are going to have all kinds of not just challenges, because all relationships have challenges, but it's going to be constant stress and anxiety. You're going to constantly feel drained by it. You're going to constantly feel uncertain about it. You're going to constantly wonder where you stand and what's happening and where this is going and if this is a waste of time. You're going to constantly question that. And so what you need to do is remain in the empowered context and know what you expect. Don't be too attached to it has to look like this or look like that, but know what you expect and remain in the empowered context and stand up for those expectations. And if you're giving and giving and giving to someone and they are not returning that, that's when it's time to say something. Now, I say all this, but I want to add one more thing here, because it's really difficult to remain in the empowered context when you are operating from limiting assumptions and ideas about love and about dating and about relationships and about how love is created. So I want to invite you to join me for what I call 7 days of inspiration. And what I've done is I've taken the 7 most potent and powerful ideas. These are psychologically proven to empower you and keep you in that empowered context when it comes to love and dating. The 7 most potent and powerful ideas to create your conscious relationship, to create your epic love story. Over the next 7 days, we're going to go through them day by day. And if you do this, and I give you a few journaling prompts and a few ways to explore this with yourself. But if you take these ideas and you learn them and you really work with them and you really make them a part of your operating system, make them a part of your go-to approach in dating. This will completely transform the dating game and make it easy and effortless for you to create an epic love story. So I want you to go to 7daysofinspiration.com, and over the next 7 days, I'm going to share these potent and powerful ideas with you. We'll see you there, 7daysofinspiration.com, and thanks for watching today. Take care.